Today, we are talking about authenticity. And to help us navigate that topic, Heather Fusilet, the National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. And Heather's expertise lies in helping people live healthy, balanced lives. And she's here today to share her insights on the importance of embracing authenticity and redefining success in a plant based lifestyle. Thank you, Heather. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
I am pleased that you are here. And authenticity in the context of a plant based life is so key to the whole thing. I never thought about it that way, at least initially. So it's great that you're here to talk about it. Why is it so important for individuals to embrace their authentic selves?
I think that it's important for everybody to embrace their authentic selves because that's where the magic happens. When you become a partner with yourself, when you truly get to know yourself, accept yourself, team up with yourself to embark on the adventure of life, then you're making choices that are based out of curiosity and a sense of adventure and a sense of exploration in your life, rather than trying to check boxes that, of a list that somebody else may have written for you or that you think you're supposed to be doing at this point in your life. And so many times we jump into lifestyle choices that are made because of parameters like those instead of what you're really curious and excited about. And a plant-based diet can be one of those things, going into a lifestyle that is including a plant-based diet because of, some outside external reason that doesn't really resonate with you. It makes it just a different experience than if you are going in because this is something that you are curious about and exploring.
What powerful insight. Uh, what I was thinking about while you were saying that if you are true to yourself and you're living authentically, it really supports your actions in alignment with your choices when you are on the plant-based journey, because plant-based journey is not easy. So I love what you're saying about being authentic, because if you're aligned with and be in partnership with yourself, then that helps you to make external choices for yourself. So that is beautiful. Thank you
And it's
so
such a
much.
time saver.
Oh
It's
my
such a time
goodness.
saver. You don't have to stand around and try to figure things out. You know what's right for you, and you can just jump right on
Oh
into it.
my goodness. Or get caught up in, like you said, in what someone else wants you to do, and then kind of mess around with that and then end up doing something you really don't want to do. So being authentic keeps us on a path with ourselves. I love that. I love it. And many people face challenges and moments of doubt on their plant based journey. How can they overcome these obstacles by staying true to themselves?
Well, I think you have to really be clear before you start adopting a lifestyle like a plant-based diet, what you want to get out of it. What is your motivation? For me, I'm a vegetarian.
Mhm.
I dabbled in plant-based diets as a teenager, just because of just curiosity. My dad was a vegetarian. I was interested in why he ate that way. Vegan or vegetarian for probably about a decade. And for me, it's a health issue.
Mhm.
Been convinced that eating whole, mostly plant-based foods is just the best decision for my body. Yeah, and that's how I feel and that's how I eat. But for others, it is an environmental issue or, a humanity issue. And so knowing why you're curious about a plant-based diet or you're ready to explore something like that is a big part of sticking with it when it does become challenging, because there are some layers. In one way, it's very simple, but in other ways, there are some challenges that you have to overcome or some things that you have to think creatively about.
Absolutely, Heather. I hear what you're saying, because being on the plant-based path, it's really looking at what do I need? What choices do I want to make for my body? Not just my body, but also my mind. And you talked about balance. How does that help me stay in balance, not only with my life, but with this journey that I'm on? Can you share some practical strategies to celebrate progress and maintain motivation?
Oh gosh. Well, I always like to start with the end in mind. I think that's brilliant advice from Stephen Covey. And to know, what does success mean for me? How do I feel that this is going to be a worthwhile use of my time? What do I want from this? And then set your goals in a way that you're moving towards that. And then regularly checking in with yourself to ask, am I still on that path? And that can be kind of asking questions like, is this still rewarding? Am I still enjoying this? Does this feel like a burden, or is it a rewarding element of my life? And if the answers are making you feel like you've wandered away from your path,
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily mean get back on it. You can then ask, well, is that still the right path for me? Or, have I outgrown that path and I need a new one? What's really important to me at this point in my life, and how can I make sure that I'm staying aligned to that? Because the decisions that we make, 10 years ago aren't necessarily relevant to our lives now.
Yeah, and that's what I always think about. I say life decisions come with ebbs and flows, depending on where you are in your life. Are you raising kids? Were you married? Were you working? Are you retired? It really depends on what's going on for you. And also, like you just said, the definition of your success will change. So it's keeping that in mind, that
Well,
what you thought about 6 months ago may change a little bit down the line. So that is just awesome advice.
you mentioned the word balance.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was what shifted me from a vegan diet into a vegetarian diet, because my lifestyle factors had changed. And following a vegan diet was just too complicated for me at that time of my life. And when I shifted into a vegetarian diet, it was a much better fit. And so that's an example of how you just check in with yourself and keep it in the fun zone. If it's not rewarding and it's not bringing something joyful to your life, then really evaluate whether it needs to be there, or if it needs to be there in the context that it is.
So it's going back to your why, and also uh, changing and making sure you're realigning. What does success look like for me on this journey? Uh, a lot of people come into this plant-based portal differently. They come in because of the animals, the climate. Um, they come in because of health. And at some point, you align all those reasons you came in with your goals and with what success looks like for you, and knowing that it's practice and it evolves over time.
Yes, the evolution was key for me. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even intend to become a vegetarian when this last time that I set out on this path 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to eat more vegetables. I
Right.
felt like I'd gotten away from vegetables. I love them and I want to eat as many as I can. One of my mottos is AMVAP, as many vegetables as possible. And I had gotten away from that. And so I started eating more vegetables and looking for opportunities to include them in my meals. And then a couple of months had gone by and I realized wasn't even eating meat anymore. I had become a vegetarian unintentionally
Yeah.
because I was following my intuitive tastes.
Right. And for me, I started out on my plant-based journey clearly for my health, to make my health better. And the vegan came later. So, and it wasn't intentional. I got information. I said, wow, I need to eat more vegetables. I need to really clean up my health before things get out of hand, because the path I was heading on was just an unhealthy outcome with chronic disease and those kind of things that as we mature as adults, we all face it unless we're doing something intentional other than the standard American diet. So that is what started me. But the veganism came later. My life was more balanced. I was open to hearing more information. I wasn't putting pressure or punish myself when I made a mistake or if I got out of alignment. I just became more intentional and I would get back on track. So the more I learned, the more open I became. And like you, 20 years ago, I never saw this coming, but I'm so happy that I am open and I don't try to force my life down a certain path because you have no idea of what could happen great in your life. So that's really beautiful.
It
Really
sounds like
beautiful.
you really came to this lifestyle from a place of intrinsic motivation, your health, and preserving your longevity and your lifestyle, and not from a diet mentality of this is something imposed on me, that I have to follow these rules so that I have this outcome that I'm supposed to want. And that makes it so much more compelling and more fun, rewarding when you're working towards something that's good for you.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. And I guess when you say that, it does free you up.
It's a
To
choice in that
yes,
in
it
that case.
becomes a choice. That yeah, that's beautiful. It's the choices and it's the actions and the choices that you make based on that. And how do you help the people with their balance and with defining success in general? How do you help someone that has no idea of what to do? Even people when they say I want to go plant based, they have no idea of what that means. So how do you help people like that?
First, I ask why. Why are you curious about this? What do you hope to gain? What do you hope to learn? How did you come up with this idea? What inspired you to go down this path? Because I want to make sure that if I'm working with somebody as their health coach, their best interests are at the center of that relationship. And I want to work in their best interests while also helping them reach the goals that they've identified for themselves. So I really want to know why. And we create a vision statement based
Mm,
on what their motivations are, what their values are in life, and then also taking a look at where do you know that you have challenges? Where
mhm,
do you think that you'll need to have a backup plan? Who
mhm,
can you rely on for support in your life? And what types of things do you want to be doing consistently? And what do you want the outcomes of those behaviors to be? And the reason why I'm curious about that is because I want to be able to come in with reinforcement for those times when you're at a learning curve and or like you're jumping up to the next level in your education about whatever it is that you're
mhm.
trying to learn about, and keep them connected to the reason why they started in the first place, and to be able to ask if that reason has changed.
Man, and being on a plant-based journey is one of those things where you really need to understand and ask those questions and have those goals because of all the challenges, all the people that make fun of you. You have to have courage to be on this journey because what you're going to find out quickly is that you're on this journey and you really can't pull anybody along. Good luck with that, right?
You mentioned the people who make fun of us. I just don't get that. I hear it all the time. People mock me or kind of tease me for being vegetarian, and I don't understand why, because for one, it's nobody else's business, and also, why do they care?
Well, Heather, I have kind of rethought that over the years. And I hear what you're saying because that's just the first thing people do. And what I feel is when I'm eating and minding my own business with what I'm doing in terms of eating a plant-based meal, it could be a reflection to them of what they should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're making fun, I used to feel a little weird about it, but now I just think, okay, I'm reflecting something that they probably should be doing. I used to take it real personal. It's a reflection of exactly what they should be doing. And they're curious because you're eating this food. You're not eating what I'm eating. So what am I doing wrong? So it's really about them.
Mm-hmm.
Now when people make fun, it doesn't resonate the same. I don't even feel I have to say anything, you know.
I'm lucky to be in a community where a plant-based lifestyle is pretty common, amongst my friend group, and which is really helpful because I get lots of ideas for new ways to prepare food. But every once in a while, I just have to smile and
Yeah,
think, well,
it's true. Because the work I do, sometimes I have to go into companies. And sometimes I've bought my lunch and I'm actually eating in a cafeteria or eating around other people. So 9 times out of 10, I'm going to attract some kind of attention, even if they just say, "What kind of diet are you on?" I always look at it now as an opportunity to share why I'm eating what I'm eating, and not the opposite of ramming something down someone's throat, because I don't want to be that person either. So my only job is to model my own behavior. And if you have questions, then I'll answer questions. So, and I'm always happy to. I wear my plant powered shirts when I'm working out. I'm really happy to talk to people if they're interested. I don't want to put anything on anybody because this is something that if you want to do it and you have your why, and you can listen to the podcast or get your answers, but I'll answer any questions that anyone has. So that's how I
absolutely.
see it.
I am always pleased when somebody is surprised by something that I'm eating and they might say, "Oh, but I thought you were a vegetarian." It's like, well, this is a vegetarian meal. Just because it's not a salad, it doesn't mean that it's not vegetarian. And I prefer to eat whole foods as much as I
Mhm.
can and to
Mhm.
stay away from some of the processed
Mhm.
vegetarian and vegan
Mhm.
foods.
Mhm.
But there's a wide range of foods that you can eat on a vegetarian diet, and choosing them, I think, really goes back to your why. Why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? Even if it's for your health, even if it's for the planet, even if it's for just wanting to support as a collective climate change and all those things that we most of us are starting to pay more attention to.
Hmm.
And the question is, how can I impact that? And just because you become vegan doesn't mean that you're going to be plant-based eating a whole bunch of whole foods, because as we know, veganism is a philosophy.
Right.
It's a philosophy, and the plant-based diet is the dietary portion of it, eating the whole foods. I taught a class yesterday, and it was just beautiful, teaching people the difference between what does plant-based mean and what is vegan. And I told them that there are a million labels in between, and we're not going to get into those today because it's a lot. So what I shared was, if you're thinking about plant-based, it's no mother, no face, and it's grown in the ground. That's how you keep up with that. For anyone that's listening and want to just have a simple idea. So I am happy that you are talking about authenticity, because it's so important to learning who you are, your true self, so that your actions align with what you really want to do. So Heather, thank you so much for being here and talking to us about how do you redefine success in the context of a plant-based lifestyle. So for people listening and they want to approach their journey with authenticity and self-compassion, do you have any final thoughts or words of encouragement?
I think you said it best. When you're true to yourself, the decisions are pretty easy. If you're curious about adopting a plant-based diet, that doesn't have to be a permanent decision. It's the type of thing that you can stick your toe in and start with just incorporating more vegetables into your diet, exploring what other foods are plant-based that you might not have realized could be. Just kind of start small and follow your intuition, follow your taste buds, and remember that it's not necessarily a light switch where you're on or you're
Right.
off. You can
Right.
always be incorporating more plants into your diet.
I'm so happy you said that. This is not an all or nothing event. It takes practice and it takes patience. And there's no perfection in what we're trying to say here.
I
So,
sure hope not, because I'm not getting it perfect by any means.
is that really a thing? So, thank you so much, Heather.